So today marks the fourth week that I've been making videos, the end of the fourth week. And I checked on that and I thought, man, it felt like longer, but it's just been 4 weeks. I have about as many subscribers as I've made videos, which is interesting. So at this rate, I just need to live till I'm 500 years old and make 1 million videos, and then we'll be off to a good start. I know things don't work linearly, but I thought that was interesting. It's been an interesting week. I am still glad that I'm making videos, even though the viewership is low for now, because after I make something to eat, after I apply for jobs, after I work out, there are only so many movies I want to watch. There's only so much news I want to watch. And so this gives me an opportunity to use another side of my brain to learn these different products. And as some of you may have seen, I did actually get out a reaction video this week, actually about 3, but one using the tool OBS Studio. And it was pretty good for a rookie effort. And I have some ideas on how to make it better. So that's coming up. In terms of the job hunt, it's still the same. I did get some interesting news today from someone saying that my name is still under consideration for being a Splunk trainer. This particular company that I know of, that I've done some work for before, is now an official third-party trainer of Splunk products. And they also like the fact that I do have a security clearance. I didn't know that would come into play, but it makes sense because I was going to do some work with them with the DoD. It was supposed to start in November, then it got pushed until after Christmas, and then that got pushed until at least February, got pushed again to March, and I just found out this week it's getting pushed till April. But nevertheless, I remember with that job, after I'd done my part, they were going to have a trainer in to train the people on the product. It was not Splunk, but that trainer didn't have a clearance, and they were going to have to be escorted everywhere. So the fact that I have one, I guess, is good to have me on staff for something potentially like that, another federal client. The day started off weird in that I had on Tuesday, I had a LinkedIn message from a guy at a staffing company that I've done work for before, twice. In fact, the last W-2 job I had was with this company, and it's to do some Splunk work. And he gave me a dollar figure that was less than what I made last time, about $9 an hour less than what I was making last time, and less money than I made about 10 years ago. Nevertheless, I need to get off the sidelines, and I was interested, but he went dark for a couple of days. I wrote him on Thursday and say, hey, you still out there? And all he had to say was, I'm sorry, the rate is still what it is. Yeah, that's fine. We were communicating back and forth. Why didn't you just tell me this? But let him know I was interested. He wanted my resume. I gave it to him. And then he wanted to set up a call. And boy, I didn't want to do that. And I'll tell you why. Because, well, first, it was just going to be a call. I didn't want to do that. And then I woke up this morning and he wants it to be a video call. I'm like, why are we talking at all? The last job I did with you guys was Splunk related. This job is Splunk related. I've worked with you before. What do we need to talk about? We don't make any money by talking. We make money, you and me, when I'm billable. And I tried to get him off his script. I looked before the phone call and saw that he had only been a recruiter for 11 months. I've been one before too. And I know you don't make money by just chit-chatting and talking, but you go through these things when you're not making sales. Management, they don't care about your metrics when you're making sales. But when you're not, then they look, how many phone calls have you made? How many people have you talked to? And I don't know if he's in that realm or not. I tried to entertain, but at the same time, I'm trying to help us both make money. I told him, I said, man, you know, as an engineer, I'm trained to make things smaller, faster, and cheaper, more efficient. This is not efficient. The last W-2 job I had was with you guys doing the same type of work. The only difference here is for a little bit less money. It's actually no, it's not for a client I worked with before, but we don't make money until I'm billable. Can you just get my information in front of the client? And I couldn't get him off his script. He even still wanted me to email him my resume, which I had already sent via LinkedIn, but he wanted it to be through that channel so he would have it in email as well. And he also sent me an email message asking about references, even though the last job I had, they have all my references. So that was a waste of time. But something may come out of it, maybe it won't. Nevertheless, the other part of the day, I spent following live coverage, all day long, of the president and the first lady, Melania Trump, going to North Carolina. And that was interesting to me because I've been to Asheville, North Carolina. I was born in North Carolina. I graduated college from North Carolina, and my first job out of college was in Research Triangle Park, North Carolina with IBM. And I was glad to see he was giving these folks some time. In fact, he stepped away from the microphone, President Trump, and handed over his press conference to some people there in Appalachia, in the Asheville area of North Carolina, to speak on their experience, to give them a voice. And one guy even talked about how his insurance company had a high settlement for him, a high estimate of his damage by a third-party adjuster, but that adjuster was fired and they brought somebody else in and he got a lower adjustment. And Trump asked him, what's the name of the insurance company? And they blasted these people on national television by mentioning the name of their company. I thought that was interesting. And then I later on followed them to California to watch them meet with the folks out there about those fires. And that was interesting as well. So it's been a good, interesting week, this 4.5 days of him being the new president again. And I'm encouraged by what I see so far. There are some things I'm not encouraged about, and I'm going to get into that in a second. And my gut tells me maybe he's just treading water until his cabinet gets fully confirmed. By the way, I saw that Pete Hegseth is going to be the new Secretary of Defense, who got in by a tiebreaker by Vice President J.D. Vance voting in his favor. It's sad that it came down to that, but whatever. Lloyd Austin got more votes by Republicans, I believe, than this guy got from Democrats and even his own Republican Party. Whatever. At the end of the day, I don't think it's going to matter if he performs. And how could you do any worse, really? But what gives me some pause about what I'm seeing with President Trump is he's still weak on immigration from a legal immigration standpoint. And I think it has something to do with the fact that he has used the visa program himself. He calls it H-1B, but I'm sure it's H-2B or L-1 visa, some other type of visa, not H-1. But nevertheless, he mentioned in a press conference that he's used visa candidates as maitre d's and sommeliers, wine experts, and waiters for his hotels and so forth. We don't really need to import waiters, maitre d's, and wine experts. We have our own wineries in this nation. Why are you still on this about immigration? And then he's saying, we still need engineers. And these folks talking about the OpenAI folks, Oracle and SoftBank, they need engineers like people never needed engineers. If I have to hear somebody say, we have all these tech jobs, we have all these cyber jobs, we have all these engineering jobs, but we don't have the talent to go with it. If I have to hear that one more time, I'm going to scream, because it's not true. We as a nation seem to have surrendered manufacturing. We seem to have surrendered construction. And because of folks like Trump, we seem to have surrendered hospitality. We got to import waiters and maitre d's and maids and sommeliers. And now you want to surrender tech? We're not doing this to accountants. We're not saying we need the better, the best people we can have to be accountants. We're not doing this to news reporters. We need more good quality news anchors, and we need to import them in. We're not doing this to lawyers and politicians and doctors. I remember Senator Ted Cruz here in Texas when he was running for president. He said, you know, if the people coming across the border were instead of being a bunch of so-called migrant workers in agriculture, if instead they were a bunch of lawyers and politicians, we would see the attitude about the border change immediately. And I see that being the case for still, because they don't seem to have a problem with letting these folks infiltrate the tech industry. I'm still unemployed. Yeah, he's only been president for 4.5 days, but January is almost over. And I don't like the talk of the other opportunities mentioning April as some potential work. No, I need full-time work now. I'm so glad I'm still within 5 years of never having to work for anybody else, but it's still frustrating. One of the people in the comments talked to me about being an adjunct professor, and I mentioned I pursued that in the past before, but for some reason this community college wanted my tax returns. I'm like, why would you need, for a part-time job, why would you need my tax returns? And I thought it was a one-off. Maybe a couple of years later, I tried again and they still wanted that information. So this guy mentioned he currently works with the Collin County Community College in Texas. And I mentioned it was Collin County Community College that was doing that to me. So I hope some things turn around though on this whole immigration talk, because it is incompatible with the America First agenda that the president wants to have for the nation. It's just incompatible. He says that he sees both sides of the issue, and what he's doing when it comes to tech is going to help expand industry. And by that, I'm sure he means it's going to create more jobs. Yeah, it may create more American jobs, but will it be for Americans? Furthermore, when we're talking about AI, so many people keep saying AI is going to be taking away the job. So I'm not 100% sure I trust these tech bros. I was not encouraged at all when I saw them having VIP prime seating there at the inauguration. Sam Altman of OpenAI, the CEO of TikTok, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all there in prime seating, sitting right behind the family, the Trump family, at the inauguration. I don't think they want to spend $500 billion to help people. I think they want to spend $500 billion so they can make $500 trillion, so that they can be the ones to control AI, the same way they somewhat control the internet today. These people stabbed Trump in the back. It was Meta, it was Facebook that banned Trump for life. It was Google. Also, Sundar Pichai, he was there sitting with the other tech bros at the inauguration. He banned Parler.com from the App Store of Google. And Tim Cook of Apple did the same thing. Jeff Bezos just shut down the servers at AWS for Parler. And a lot of Trump MAGA supporters were on that site. And it damaged the site for good. And as someone who's in tech, I was lackjawed. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, doesn't this violate some sort of service level agreements? You can't just shut somebody down like that. You know, even the mob can have a telephone. And if the telephone company doesn't like what they're talking about over their telephone lines, they can't shut them down. But we do that with the internet. Speaking of the number of followers I have, I wondered if it was something I said. For a while, I thought that, because Google owns YouTube, and I've been talking quite a bit about immigration, and they may use some H-1B folks, but at the same time, the videos that have done the best for me have H-1B visa in the title. So I don't know what to think. Nevertheless, I'm putting out content. I was watching an interview between Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, with Tucker Carlson. I watched the whole thing. You don't have to watch it, but maybe I'll leave the the link in the description. About 24 minutes into that interview, he said this about immigration. Tucker said to Eric Adams, he said, the more immigration you have, the smaller the percentage of Americans who work. I mean, that's true with every country with mass immigration. The native population stops working when you flood the country with foreigners. And I don't know why that's not obvious to everyone, but it is true, and it's particularly true for African Americans. And I just think it's weird that nobody seems to notice or care. Amen to that. Thank God for Tucker Carlson for saying that. Not just because he's mentioning African Americans, but just in general. When you flood the market with foreigners, in every nation, this is what happens. So I'm hoping that Trump notices, but I don't have the access to him that Elon Musk has. These people who stabbed him in the back think that they're in his good graces now because they give him $1 million to help support his inauguration. And yet they gave hundreds of billions to help him lose the last election, the 2020 election. And he's someone who's big on loyalty. And I wonder if he's recognizing their character or not. I just don't know if this is going to raise all ships. My gut tells me it isn't. It is un-American to bring in waiters, to import waiters, to import maitre d's, housekeepers. It is un-American for us to give up manufacturing, construction, landscaping, hospitality, tech. What's next? Like I said, is it going to be accounting? So these are things that I've been thinking about this week. It's been a good week. Like I said, I can't believe it's only been 4 weeks that I took the step to having some guts and getting in front of the camera to talk about these things. I started off only talking about, hey, I'm an unemployed tech person. This is what I'm doing to survive. This is how I'm handling my finances, those types of videos. I don't want to be the guy that makes videos on how to make videos. I'm glad people do that. But if I don't know how many more videos I could take of hearing people say you need to do this, this, and this because the algorithm thinks this, this, and this. They say the same thing on LinkedIn. And my gut tells me, how do you know? Really, unless you have seen the code or someone who has written the code or who knows for sure tells you this is how it works, how do you know? I get the feeling a lot of people are just repeating what they heard somebody else say. And they think it's true. I don't know how it works. If I did, I actually did go and start using some of these tips and my viewership went down. The number of subscribers went down. When I didn't know what I was doing, I got subscribers. I don't know if it's at a greater rate, but this might be the 24th or 25th video. And the last I checked, I had 23 subscribers. When I didn't know what I was doing, I got up to 17 pretty quick. And it just ticked along kind of slowly. Nevertheless, I'm going to keep doing it. It's only been 4 weeks. It's not like it's been 4 years. And for those of you who have engaged with your comments, I appreciate the encouragement you've given. I appreciate some of the tips you've given. I appreciate you subscribing and sharing. And I think I covered what I wanted to cover so far today. Look forward to seeing me some more next week. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.